So can you elaborate on the idea of free speech absolutism? So, hate speech can be quite painful to quite a large number of people. Does
Well,
this worry you?
yep. Living in a free society requires that you expose yourself to some discomfort. You call it pain. It's maybe emotional pain. It's not physical pain, um, but it's the price we pay for living in a free society. Every so often, we're insulted. We're emotionally hurt. Think of the alternative. All the alternatives are worse. Nobody ever promised us a rose garden. We're lucky to be in a country that has a First Amendment. It's also it's the most diverse country in the world because of immigration. I mean, my grandparents, my father's side came over from Russia. My mother's side came over from Poland. I'm very happy that my grandparents came in from Russia. I would not want to be in Russia today. I'd probably be sharing a cell with a Wall Street Journal reporter. Um, so I'm thankful that they came in, and this is a great country. It's got troubles right now, but our country doesn't. And after we had a civil war, we had segregation, we had the decimation of the Indians. We're not perfect, but it's the best place in the world for somebody who values liberty.
So, you don't think that hate speech can empower large groups that eventually lead to physical action, to physical harm to others?
No, I don't. I think that we have developed a culture in which it's understood that if you don't like what you hear, you talk back.
Mm-hmm.
You write something. We don't punch each other. We insult each other. Is insulting great? Well, I don't know. It's okay. I used to, as a kid in Brooklyn, where I was born and raised in Bensonhurst. We used to say, "Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never harm me."
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely true. What was true when I was 5 is true when I'm almost 81. So I've lived a long time. I've seen it all, and I'm talking from experience as well as theory. It's what happens when you reach your 80s.
I read that you had this line that you cannot be protected from being called an asshole.
Correct.
Okay.
Especially if you're an asshole.
Well, that's but you don't have to be an asshole to be called an asshole.
That's correct.
And I think the internet has taught me that.
Well, the internet has posed a particular challenge to free speech absolutists because of some of the stuff that's on there is god awful. But I have no different rule for freedom of speech on the internet than I have in newspapers or in lectures or in classrooms or conversations among people.
What do you think about the tension between freedom of speech and freedom of reach, as is kind of sometimes termed? So the internet really challenges that aspect. It allows speech to become viral and spread very quickly to a very large number of people.
Yeah. Well, we've had revolutions in the modalities of communication. After all, newspapers were the first challenge. Radio and television posed a new challenge. The FCC tried, but ultimately gave up the attempt to control obscenity, for example. And the Supreme Court has been pretty close. The one thing that liberal and conservative Supreme Courts, right now we're in a conservative era due to Trump nominations. During much of my life, we were the Warren Court. It was William O. Douglas, Brennan. It was a liberal court. One thing they agree on is free speech. They don't agree on much else, but they do agree on free speech. And I think the reason is that they recognize that, well, my group is in the ascendance today, but it may not be tomorrow. And I want to have objective, clear rules so that when I'm in the minority, I'm able to voice my opinion. And so it's one of the few things that both sides of the political spectrum agree on. The only people who don't are the people way over on the right that I call the fascists, and the people way over on the left who are the communists. But with respect to most people on the political spectrum, Republicans, Democrats, socialists, libertarians, they agree on the primacy of free speech because it protects them when protection is needed.
So to you, even on the internet, free speech absolutism should rule.
Yes. Nobody's going to die. Remember, death threats are not protected. Nobody's going to die. So people are going to be a little bit insulted. That's the price you pay for living in a free society. And it's a small price, in my view.